Welcome. In this video we're going to go ahead and sculpt the arm muscles together. I'm going to start by identifying those landmarks again, making sure that they're as accurate as they need to be to start. I can see in my top-down view here that my arm is a little long compared to my image plane there, so just want to double check that before I start. Doesn't matter too much if they're a little extra long, but with my preferences, I have a tendency of elongating limbs and hands and feet and legs, so I need to watch that. So again, just a reminder to make sure that you know what your tendencies are and you override those as you're trying to capture realism. Alright, so I can see that they're long on both sides, but they're still within range, so I'm going to go ahead and go forward by bringing those back slightly. I'm going to start with my move brush. Nice big brush, nice high level of intensity here, and I'm just going to grab those little hands and move them right back into position there. Now I'm going to check and make sure that my landmark for my elbow is in the proper place, and it is. However, I'm getting a little bit long with my bicep here, so I want to make sure to set that back. It's a little fuller than the final maybe should be. I'm going to leave that. I just want to identify those folds in my anatomy first, meaning the elbow and the wrist and the fingers, of course. Alright, so that said, looks like I have marked the joints already, and those are in the proper place according to my image plane now. So I'm going to go forward by beginning to add more muscle to the upper arm and then work down to the lower arm if we could get all that into one video. Alright, so turning off the floor, I'm going to go to my clay buildup, and I'm going to take a look at my reference. I'm using the Le Écorché app on my iPhone. That is available on the iPhone. I don't think it's quite yet available again for the Android, but you can get images on the PC as well. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and, in this case, I feel a little bit more comfortable working on the other side here. Alright, I've got a nice big deltoid. Need to be careful that I don't extend where that should be. It is quite large. Again, I have a tendency of really blowing out my muscles and extending my limbs. So I'm going to pull that back just a little bit in this particular view, because really the deltoid should affix to about the middle, a little bit high to the middle of the arm, the upper arm bone. Bring that bicep in again, and just checking that in my top down, or excuse me, my front view as well. I'm going to get a little bit rounded out on the deltoid just because this is going to collapse a little bit when I go to rig this character, but make sure that you get some nice traps in here, well defined. We'll work on the neck as we approach the head in just a little bit. Alright, you can see that as I'm moving, I'm not as careful as I should be because I'm actually getting artifacts on the surface of my mesh. Just go ahead and relax those a little bit. Alright, now if I'm defining the muscles from this view, I can go ahead and get my damn standard brush to just simply outline. It's really the easiest way to get started, just outlining those particular muscles. So I'm going to go after the outline version. Now, if I follow this particular line down, ooh, that's way too deep. So going to draw back the intensity on the damn standard brush there. I'm going to go ahead and hit the line where I need to start for the upper or the lower wrap of two large muscles that wrap affixed to the high end of my, or midpoint of my upper arm bone, and then they wrap down and around. Creates a nice full area on the right below the elbow there. And I'm just going to go ahead and sketch them in with my damn standard brush. Alright, that done, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the bicep here. Bicep is going to come to a point here to flesh out that area. There we go. Not the right shape that I want it yet, but it's there. Also, my deltoids are going to wrap up and around here as well. So I need to keep an eye on those because I don't want those to flatten out and get lost. The bicep, this area is a little incorrect, so I need to go back after this area. The bicep actually affixes up under this wrap of the deltoid. So I'm going to smooth this area out. Don't be afraid if you make mistakes. You can easily use your smooth brush back and smooth that area out and go after it again. I want this bicep down up under the deltoid there. You can see where this comes out. It's not as full as I need it to be yet, but this is right where I want my bicep to tuck under. So good intensity on my damn standard. I'm just going to put it up under there right now, coming down and around. Yeah, that's not working. Draw it over the other way here. Yep. I'm fighting the edge loops at this point. Okay, it's a little bit more where I want that. So softening that and then coming down and around. That is really deep. I'm going to draw back off of that a little bit. There we go. Now I can sort of go back after that, tuck that right up in there. No pinches. We don't want any pinches in our anatomy. Soften that out. Just continue to work that up under there. There we go. So it looks like a nice wrap on top of that. Okay. Then your bicep is going to come up under there where it should and affix to the bone structure up there. There we go. Alright. Now, a little deep overall, that's okay. That's what smooth is for. Just go ahead and smooth that back out now that it's going the correct way. We can also now come in here with our clay buildup and pull the roundness out just a little bit on the deltoid. Again, a little too round, but forcing the change here. Bicep too full, but we're just working it as we go here. Alright, now let's go ahead and check our area here. Move tool for moving large masses of anatomy here. Let's go ahead and tuck that back up under there now. And now we're getting more of the shape that we want. There we go. Working in 3D. Remember that the large rounded area of the bicep is down below, not up high. Just tucking that muscle in where it needs to go. Now we got a nice tail wrap on that. Okay, we'll continue to work on that. But let's take another look at our top-down view and begin to sketch with the damn standard brush the more of the lower arm. Alright, so if we follow around to the back of the arm, turn the floor off, sorry, I'm trying doesn't get in the way, we can continue these shapes as they come down and around. It's a beautiful pretzel arrangement. I don't know how else to describe it. Just a really unique kind of interwoven series of muscles in here. Let's test. Okay, that'll do for now. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead after two additional muscles that stem from high on the lower arm bone, and they come right up and affix almost to the center here. So I'm going to go ahead and try to capture those and the nice angle of those. Should be a little straighter than that. It comes out here and then straight on down. There we go. Alright, then we've got one that follows that at an arch. Okay, and then this one comes out and right next to the elbow there, gives us more shape to the elbow there. And right there it attaches on that particular bone. Okay, we got several small ones in here. Do some of those feet. I should have put toes on this character. Alright, so you've got a small ribbon of muscle that comes through here, down and around, attaches there, and then of course these actually come down and around here and up under that muscle. Go after that one a little bit better. There. Okay. Now as we come back around here, this one comes up, creates a nice deep groove here, and then up under the palm. Too narrow there. There we go. Alright, not exactly the shape yet, but I think closely defined to where we need to go with it for now. Okay. There's one error here that I want to make sure to correct. And I'm just going to smooth over that one because this muscle comes right down through there. Alright, now that we have drawn them on, we can go ahead and shape them up a little bit more. Not with that brush. I'm going to try the standard brush for this because they are nice and round rather than flat with rounded edges. So just filling out the volume just a little bit more. Okay. This one is rather flat, so we'll leave it a little more flat and then come down and around. Nice thin end point there. A lot of muscles on the lower arm there. Okay. And let's go ahead and get back away from it a little bit. And you can see how that's starting to come together there. If that doesn't look like a pretzel, I don't know. Alright, just smoothing some of these little bumpy areas. You don't want the bumpies. The ends. Smoothing those out a little bit. You don't need the lines. You don't want the lines in there. So just go ahead and touch on those. Make them disappear. Okay. Alright, from here we can go ahead and take a look at the under part of the arm. And back to our damn standard brush for outlining the muscles. Okay, let's identify where our bony landmark is. From here, we've got a deep crevice here, which is too deep. We're going to go ahead and release that a little bit, smooth it out, rather, because we're going to need this area to define our muscles here. Okay, good. Alright, now test our stroke. That seems to be fine. What we're going to do is identify our landmark there, and looking at your reference, you have the bicep, which comes down and around here. Good. You've got a smaller muscle here that we defined a little bit earlier. Make sure that that shows well for you. Go ahead and bump up the intensity a little bit. Your latissimus dorsi comes up into the back here. Let's just take a quick look. Yeah, that goes pretty deep in there, so we're going to have to push that back up in there as we define our muscles here. This is quite deep. I want to keep our eye on that. And what that means is this shape needs to end up in here. So let's go ahead and begin that push on the dorsi there. Alright. We want that to come right up in there. Looking at my muscle here. This is where it needs to go. Right in that area. Okay? Here we go. Now, this gives you the proper shape that you need for this particular muscle that's threaded in there. That one is feeding right down into this area also. Attaches right at the top there. Nice deep groove for your bicep. Just right off of that. Oops. And we'll take our move tool and fix that little lumpy bumpy area right there. First, let's get nice and deep with these muscles that we need to identify. Alright, there's a little one that swoops down and around here, followed by another one that takes that path. Alright, so coming off of the elbow area. So it goes quite deep there. Alright, this one also. I'm going to go ahead and take down our brush here, focal shift, and continue to follow these down to the wrist there. And if we turn our reference, we've got another one that follows right into that bone structure there. Alright. This one actually has a little bit more meat on the top of it there. That's where all this comes in. Down and around and attaching to that bone there. This is the mass on the side there. Good. I'm going to thin it out here too. There we go. Oops. Okay. Alright. Let's go ahead and make sure that we have the bicep defined a little bit better. There we go. There we go. That's what we need. Nice deep crevasse there. Alright. That's a lot of muscles, isn't it? A lot of very sinewy tendons, attachment points in the hand there, needed for all that we do with our hand. Alright, need this nice and deep. Nice and deep. Alright. Now while we're in here, let's take another look at the tricep. Tricep is a very unusual muscle. It actually has an interesting U shape to it. And then all of this sinewy attachment, tendony, is very flat on the back there, and it almost has sort of a two muscle appearance to that as well. Do you want to capture that? Okay. Yeah, that should feed right down into a nice strong deltoid here. There we go. Alright. Now, I'm going to use clay buildup, but in a subtractive way to get rid of some of this volume in here. So I'm just holding my Alt key down and brushing over that a little bit to reduce that volume there. I want to keep that shape. It's important for the depiction of the muscle, but I just don't want all that volume in there. So I can go ahead and dial down my focal shift so I can get a little bit more accurate there. There we go. And just taking out the volume there. Let's try that again. Okay. Alright. It's looking a little bit more like a tricep now. There's a clear division and attachment point for that as well. So I'm going to go ahead after the dab standard brush and carve that in again. This one actually comes up and around and right toward the elbow there. A little bit more shape there. Alright, let's go with that one. Alright. That is one carved up arm. But you can hopefully begin to see all the muscles that come into play and attach to that elbow. The elbow has a really specific bony landmark pattern there, so let's go ahead and accentuate that just a little bit more. You go out to the standard brush for this, and this one is fairly pointy. However, there's a ridge that is visible on the surface all the way down normally to the wrist. So we want to make sure not to lose that significant structure there. All the way from the elbow. Okay. We'll go ahead and continue to shape that as we go. In addition, we need to make sure not to lose the inside. There's a little bone protrusion on the inside too. When you whack that on something, it's not actually called the funny bone, but that's what we call it when we whack it. So that's the one that needs to be seen right there on the inside. And there we have it. Okay, all right. First pass, muscles on the arm. Of course, we're going to come back into that and continue to define those. We've got a little bit of pinching back here. We need to resolve and get some additional shape right up in here. We don't want our muscle to go without proper polish. We got latissimus dorsi coming down in here. Can do that in a way where it's not pinching. Muscles don't pinch together like that. Make sure it doesn't look like fabric, but it looks like muscle. Okay. All right. A lot of muscle there. Okay, that'll do for now. There's still quite a lot of work to do on that to make it look correct. But we're going to go ahead and go forward now and take a look at the hand and how all of these connective tissues actually form the shapes of the hand. In doing so, we're not going to pose the hand. Oftentimes you'll see modelers with an A pose with a posed hand. For riggers, that makes it a little bit more challenging, needlessly, in my opinion. And so you want to try to maintain a nice flat hand, but of course flat hands have shape too. They're not flat like this, so we're going to come in and make sure that your hands have appropriate shape to them. Alright, thank you for joining me for this iteration, and the next video in the series will be covering the hands. Thank you for joining me.